Everyone. My name is Cody Coltharp, and this is
Trisha George.
all right, great. And we're going to be sharing some resources we made this August at the RDR retreat. So Trisha is going to be sharing a guide to power mapping, and I had no idea what that was until she went over it. And it's this incredible tool. It's for essentially managers to plan out stakeholder engagement around specific initiatives. She's going to talk a lot about that, and I'll be asking some questions, but it's a really powerful tool that goes step by step on how to get the right group of people together to have a lot of buy-in over your specific projects. And I'm going to be talking about a Hamago curriculum tree, specifically around 3D programming. And I'll get into more about that in just a bit. So Trisha, if you want to get started with your resource, and I guess we can get going.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey guys, I created a guide to power mapping, and power mapping is what Cody said it is. It is just a way of getting stakeholders around the table and interested, kind of strategically planning out how they could be interested in engaging with you. It has a little bit of background in the document. It's an asset-based community development tool, and you use it to identify, evaluate, and engage stakeholders. It also lists out some of the resources that you need, probably a quiet room. It takes several, three or so 1-hour meetings. That's what I recommend. And other than that, you need some sticky notes and a whiteboard, pretty standard fare. And you go into it with a goal, and that is to increase support for a specific initiative from interested and capable parties. Now, the power map to me is really cool because you put powerful people from your organization around a table. When I did it, we had the director of development, myself as your media manager, and one of my mentors, and we talked about the people that we knew in the city, and how they might be interested in supporting our goal of engaging more teachers and more young women in the space. So it was really useful. We are up to about 45, 55 girls and boys in the space, and so it was also effective in this case anyway. So I don't know much else to say about it. It's up on the resource bank on the community of practice. And it's really a tool for managers, I would say.
Great. So I have some quick questions. I've gone over this entire project with you way back in August, so I remember to a degree a lot of it. The first question I would have is you get a lot of people together in the same room to go over these projects, but how do you choose those people? How do you, because you want the most important, the most valuable people that can bring your project forward. So how do you get in touch with those people? How do you choose them? How do you decide who they are, and go about getting them into a single room?
Yeah, so it kind of depends on what is your goal. We had the development director in the room, not because she was in charge of fundraising, but because she was on the board of Girls Who Code. And so she had into the kinds of organizations and the networks of people that could really support us and point us in standardized directions or to actual groups of young women who would be interested in the content. So I think even before you start strategically thinking about the people to engage from outside of your organization, you really have to think through the people who are going to be in that room. Even with the 3 of us in the room, we ended up with hundreds of names on the wall that we had to map to figure out who of those people we would contact in order to engage them around the goal. Yeah.
So it's not getting those exact people directly into the room. It's trying to like decide who these people are and putting them across the board and deciding where to go from there then.
Yeah, so I guess I should talk about the core function of a power map is to actually, you kind of have a grid, right? And you put people in 4 quadrants, and it's based on the level of power they have and the level of their current interest or engagement, right? And your goal is to find the people who have power, who can help you get things done, who can help you make decisions, who can help you meet your goals, and move them from being less interested or engaged to being more interested and engaged. It could include a bajillion kinds of people depending on your project. But that's the whole. You get a good set of people who know people in that realm. You figure out who everyone in the room knows, and then you decide which of those kind of tertiary connections will yield the most powerful benefits.
And I think it comes down to them having that really important buy-in. You know, you can have someone really, really powerful and important, but unless they have that initial interest, or unless they have some kind of buy-in, they probably won't be that helpful to you. So
yeah. And
ahead.
something that it also addresses is you can level that. You know, if you're talking about somebody who might not be super, super interested immediately, you can start by asking them for a tiny favor. Hey, could you provide napkins for this event? Or could you send one guy to talk to our kids about this thing? And that's, you know, the initial foot in the door, and then you can kind of build from there, kind of like your curriculum resource, but instead applied to people.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
Scaffolded buy-in. Great. Well, that is about all my questions.
Okay. So let's segue into talking about your resource, which is significantly more beautiful than mine, with the fading and the color. It's very nice.
Great design.
I also heard about your resource in August and was super impressed, and have actually really been looking forward to this for a while now. So tell us about your curriculum tree.
Sure. It's a tree for mapping out, almost like power mapping, almost the same idea of quadrants, mapping out a way to go from initial interest into career level skills. So probably the biggest question that we get asked all the time at Art Lab is, hey, you know, your curriculum's great, but I have this small space out in Ohio, or out in Idaho, or out in Arkansas, and we don't have X, or we don't have this, or I don't know how to do this. And so the idea was to create this modular tree to give out to anyone in the whole world that shows how to go from step A to step B to step C without having to know how to do any of the software, and having a wide variety of different levels of tech. So I'm going to do a quick screen share of the actual tree. Give me 1 second to click some buttons here.
Clickety click click.
Okay, here we go.
Boom.
Oh, here we go. I can choose. Wow, cool. You see that?
Oh, neat. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the actual tree. Ideally, I would have a lot more workshops. I would love everyone to start adding their own workshops, but this is what we have here at the Art Lab. So you can see it's got an X and a Y axis. The Y axis right over here is the degree of difficulty. And I pegged this in Hamago terms. So at the top, it'll be hanging out level. In the middle, it'll be messing around. And at the bottom, it'll be a geeking out level workshop. And then the X-axis is the level of technology in the space. So all the way in the left, you have 0, like paper, pencil, glue, etc. And then after that, in the middle, you have low level of technology, and that's like like internet, some console games, maybe tablets, mobile devices. After that's a medium level of technology, so you have some desktops, you have some laptops, you have some good software. And then finally, the high level of technology. This is when you're bringing in the really good software, really great hardware like 3D printers, 3D scanners, and that kind of thing. Yeah. So even if you have no technology and not a lot of level of skill, you can still jump into workshops. So what I've done is I've created a few kind of pathways based on what teens are interested in. They may not know what they want to do as far as an output. So I'll just show 3D animation, for example. They might say that they're interested in animation, but don't know how to get there. So you can see you usually will start in the top left, where you have low tech or low level of difficulty workshops, and you'll kind of work your way down. And these are some just what I would recommend doing as far as the workshops. And the further down to the bottom right you get, the more high level skills the students will have developed until they get to this finally geeked out total career ready skill set for 3D animation.
Okay.
And so I have that for a bunch of different skill sets. And this isn't totally linear. You can ping pong around. You don't have to do one to one to one. Did you have a question real quick?
Oh, no, I'm just admiring your work.
Oh, okay.
Specifically, the career information in the bottom there that you have listed, I think that's an addition since August, and that's really incredibly useful both to students and mentors.
Yeah, and I think they might not even know that they want to be a 3D animator or be involved in 3D production, with like physically building things in 3D, 3D printing, that kind of thing, or 3D design, which is more about developing assets, say for movies or for digital platforms. But you can kind of see what happens once they start to go through certain order. If they really, really dig, say, papercraft, and then they're really into 3D printing and they've done Mesh Mixer and SkinX, then that's obviously a path towards 3D production. You can kind of tell them, hey, you've started to develop these skills, and this might be a viable career for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, super important, I think, for them to even see, hey, I have these great skills and I've developed this. So each one of these dots in the middle, they all represent a workshop. So you have some green ones at the top. These are the Hangout Workshops. These are workshops that are designed specifically for people to hang out, have fun, be social, and not have a have a pretty low level of difficulty. The blues in the middle are the messing around level workshops. These are workshops that are for teens that are starting to kind of get into it, still want to work in smaller groups, but haven't quite developed the really geeked out skill set, which is in the purple pentagons. And these are the workshops that are for people that are really, really ready to dive in deep into some of the harder skill sets. And they all kind of scaffold up into it. It's not just throwing them into it. So let me go into some of these workshop curriculums. This is an example of a Hangout curriculum. So each one of these dots are going to have a packet of curriculum that goes with it. And so you can read these. These are all geared towards facilitators that have absolutely no level of training in any of these things. So they can go into this completely fresh, read this, and have a good idea on how to do the workshop.
Okay.
At the very top, it's who it's for. So I kind of give a description of the type of student.
We can't see the curriculum right now.
Oh, let me share it real quick.
Okay.
Thanks for letting me know. I forgot this was just specifically for that window. Okay. So here is the curriculum that goes along, and like I said, there's going to be one for each of them. Right now I only have 3, but I'm working on all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So at the top, it's who the student is for. I kind of give a description of the kind of things that they like. And then we'll get into a short description of the project, any kind of prerequisite skills or hardware the teen will need to have learned, the technology and materials that are needed for the project. Most of the Hangout are pretty low tech, so you don't need a whole lot. And then the skills that they're going to learn. And last, any of the vocabulary that they need to, that they'll know by the end, or that you might want to sharpen up on.
Okay.
So that's just a quick snapshot of what the lesson is. So you can kind of know within maybe 20 seconds of what to do. And then I'll go into setup. So it's a step-by-step lesson plan. This is how you set your room up, what you need to prepare for it, and usually some quick tips that go in that are useful that I've heard that people have said, oh, it would be nice if I had, for example, a quick paper craft that I could print out beforehand. So I give a link to that. Or this is a video on how to do it. And then I give step-by-step instructions, and you just follow along. and by the end of it, they'll have whatever the project is, and then wrap up for sharing. And last but not least, the feedback, which I think has been really, really important. What worked, what didn't work, what would you change, and a broader application. How could I adapt this to help students with disabilities? How could the workshop be expanded for a longer period of time? And does it meet any of which Common Core standards and which 21st century learning skills does it meet?
Okay.
So that is pretty much it for that. I can also include the template for that. So if you want to make your own, I would love to have more and more workshops. Ideally, this would be kind of a searchable database, but we're kind of far away off from there. But that's essentially it. That's the resource.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. I love so many sorry. I really appreciate the structure that it's set up, and I'm really happy to hear that you're going to be offering it out for a so that it can be altered or sorry, it's a
I just lost my. Here we go. I'll just do it.
Okay. I love that you're putting out the template so it can be changed. That was one of my immediate questions. But I also love how robust it is. So it's a pathway towards a career, but it's also a series of scaffolded programs, and it's something that I could easily take out to my branches. Put everything that they need together in a packet and ship it out, and it's totally accessible for them and for the students. So way to go. I'm curious about any other content areas that might be in development.
I would like to do it with every bit of curriculum that we have, and that's just about all across the board. My specialties are 3D design and game design.
Okay.
So that's I'm working on those first, but I would love our mentors here to put in. We have audio, we have video, we have photography, we have Macon, and we have years and years of experience. And I would like to see all those in these kind of shareable forms. As a matter of time, I guess, and resources.
Yeah, as it always is, right? And then I guess I have one more question. I noticed how at the end of the application, you're almost crowdsourcing information about Common Core state standards and the next generation science standards. It comes off as really clever. Are you also at all interested in crowdsourcing the curriculum pathways that other UMedia sites might make?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all about big data. We have our way of doing it, but that isn't the best. It's not the best way. It's not the only way. And if we see more and more kind of pathways and more like you go do this and then this and then this, or we see that people are using 100 different people are doing it for this one thing, you get so much of a clear idea of what's working and what isn't. So yeah, I'm all for big data. I'm all for everyone using it and sharing that data.
Awesome. I'll be excited to start using it in Hartford. I think that's all the questions that I have for now. Did you want to tell us anything else about the resource?
That's all I got. Use it. I have the Photoshop file I couldn't upload into the community practice. So if you need it, I will try to, maybe I can put it on Daniel's Tumblr for the resource.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah. And download it. If not, if you want me to email directly, you can just email me at coltharpc@si.edu. So it's coltharpc@si.edu. And I will give it to you directly.
Super. Thanks, Cody.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Yep, cheers. Enjoy Star Wars.
Woo!